In this video, we're going to talk about why you should stop looking at approaching as a way to get women and start looking at it as a way to develop a multitude of skill sets that will serve you in life. Let's jump right into it. So the first thing that we think about when it comes to approaching women is getting. How do I get this girl? How do I make her like me? How do I make her attracted to me? How do I get this girl's number? How do I set up something? How do I get it to go somewhere? Now, there's nothing wrong with that. And the better you get with approaching, a natural byproduct is that women will be attracted to you. It's just the way it is. But did you know that as you're going out approaching women and you're getting better results, there are a few things that are happening and changing within you internally in the background that you may not even notice? Let's talk about those. So one of the most valuable skills that you acquire as you get better with approaching is learning to stay calm under tension or stay calm under pressure. And why is it so important that you learn to stay calm under pressure? Well, think about all the different areas of your life. Think about your goals. Think about things you want to acquire, right? Maybe it's more money in your business. Maybe it's just more money, period. Maybe it's taking more risk. Maybe it's just doing things out of your comfort zone that you feel will give you a great life overall. Now, in your pursuit of doing these things, risks are going to need to be taken. Things are not going to go right. You're going to be out of your comfort zone. You're going to be experiencing emotions that you've probably never felt at the intensities that you've probably never felt them before. And as you start to develop this tool through approaching, you start to notice as these things come up, as you start heading in the direction that you want to go in life, that the way you're managing your emotions throughout this journey is way better than most people handle it. Because when you go and you learn to approach, you're constantly being presented with adversity. There's always a potential for rejection, right? There's always a potential for someone to misunderstand you, to think you're creepy. So you're having to go through a lot of internal crap in order to get better at the skill set. Now, it's no different than when you're doing sales in a business. People not wanting to buy your product. People not wanting to listen to what you have to say. People rejecting you, right? You have to deal with the emotions that come up as they're coming up. So when you're talking to a woman and you can feel that she's getting ready to reject you, how do you calm those emotions? How do you settle them down, right? And you start to develop this as you get better at approaching, and you'll know when you're getting better at this stuff because the results will show it. Now let's go on to the next one. Now, this one is like the first one, but it's expanded a little more. So this is learning how to ground the chaos within yourself, but also ground the chaos in someone else. Now, I do sales, right, because I own a business. And I noticed that when I talk to clients, a lot of the times, they've got a lot of internal chaos going on, right? Whether to make a decision to buy this workshop or to not buy this workshop. And a lot of times they want to bet on themselves, but they've never spent that much money on themselves. So in order for the sale to really go anywhere, you have to be grounded in yourself. And that groundedness in yourself translates to the client and being able to trust you and make a clear decision. Now, when you're approaching and you're meeting women, it's the same thing. A woman is deciding whether she likes you enough to give you her number, to spend time with you, to even show signs that she's interested because she knows that maybe you'll pick them up and start to pursue harder. Now, as a guy, when you're new at approaching, we can get very triggered by women in their body language, right? We get very triggered by the subtle cues that they give us that are showing that maybe they're not attracted to us. The more grounded you get and you're seeing these little cues in this body language that she's giving you, and you don't get reactive to it, you can see very clearly what's going on within her. It's like, oh, okay, she wants to, but there's an internal fight. Like if I asked her to go on an instant date with me, or if I asked her to come over to my house, you can see there's an internal fight, right? There's part of her who wants to do it, but then there's another part of her that's just like, I shouldn't do this. I don't want to be seen as a slut. I don't want to be seen as, I don't want to be judged as someone bad for doing this. And as a grounded person, you have to be able to sit there and allow her to go through this chaos, but also ground yourself in it so that you don't get reactive and you don't take it personal. And the minute that you start to not take it personal, you start to realize that she comes to a decision a lot quicker and a lot easier because you weren't getting riled up about it and you weren't throwing things in a mix that didn't need to be there. So that's one of the skills that you acquire from learning to approach. Now let's jump to the next one. The next one is that it teaches you to be embodied, because when you're in your head, you're not going to get results, right? When you're in your head, you're not going to get the results. In fact, if you're in your head, you're going to get rejected more often than not. And you'll start to notice the more that you drop down into your body and feel your emotions and work from that emotional place, you start to get girls perking their heads up a little bit more, right? They're looking at you a little bit more. They're connecting with you differently. They're speaking to you differently. They're showing more signs of interest than they did when you were in your head. So you start to notice that this is going on, and then you start to naturally become more embodied. But also you start to see what works, right? Because when you're embodied, you're a lot less reactive. Maybe not at first. When you're starting to get embodied, there could be a lot of chaos going on within you. But the more you start to feel your heart, you start to feel your stomach, you start to feel your legs, your feet, and ground all that stuff out, you start to feel just really confident and content in yourself. And this translates to you coming off as a very confident man. And then when women are making a decision on you, they're basing it completely off your vibe. And that is your vibe, is being a guy who's grounded, but also being a guy who's very embodied, right? Because you can't be grounded without being embodied. So let's go ahead and jump into our next one. This one is learning how to connect with people, right? Because again, you won't get the results that you're looking for until you learn how to truly connect with people. How you truly connect with women, how you look at them, how you communicate with them subconsciously and verbally. So your ability to connect with people translates into everything else that it is that you do. It translates in your business. It translates in your friendships. It translates in your romantic relationships with women, right? You might notice that the more connected you get with the women through approaching, the better results that you get. But also when you start to meet your friends, you hang out with your friends that you've known a long time, your relationships start to tighten. They start to get better. Your relationship with your girlfriend, the trust improves. She feels more connected to you. She's always looking for connection. And so your relationship starts to get better and you notice it. Or just your relationships with people in general, right? You might walk up to a cashier and start talking to her from a very connected place. And whereas maybe when you did it before, she would be very disconnected as you're talking to her. Oh, hey, how's your day going? And she's just kind of disconnected. Versus now, when you're more slowed down and you reach to the eye contact and you see her and you speak to her. Say, how's your day going? Right? And then you hold the eye contact through the whole way through. All of a sudden, she's super connected with you. She's locked in with you. She's honestly giving you real, honest, vulnerable answers versus just giving you small talk. So that's a really great skill set to acquire, and most people don't have that. And so on to the next one. As you learn to get better in approaching and attracting women, what you will notice is your ability to listen, actively and emotionally listen, starts to increase. And I don't mean just hearing it through the ears, I mean feeling it. And when you do this, what you will notice is that you have this ability all of a sudden to penetrate what this person is saying and get to the root of what they actually mean by what they're saying, right? Because a woman might be saying something verbally on the surface, but deep down under, there's something else that she's communicating. And a lot of times this goes over guys' heads. It's not what she's saying, it's what she means by what she's saying, or it's where what she's saying is actually coming from, the root of it all. Now, that translates into everything. It translates to how you relate to people in your family, right? Family, friends, how you relate again to your girlfriend. How do you relate to people in your business, clients in your business? What are they actually trying to communicate to you? When they go into chaos and they start saying things that don't make sense, what is the actual thing that's trying to be communicated here? And the minute you start to pick up on that stuff, you're like, oh, I can see it now. She's nervous. She's on the fence. She's scared. She doesn't want this to happen. She doesn't want this outcome to happen. And so when you see that, you can better lead the interaction or situation. No different than when you're in your relationship, no different than when you're in business. Now let's go ahead and jump into the next one. Another skill set you acquire is an ability to truly be confident, to truly trust yourself, to truly show up in the world as you are, unbothered, unscared, no fear, no shame about who you are. And that is acquired from approaching women, because we all know as men that when we approach women, our insecurities come to the surface almost right away. If it's not in the first 10 seconds of an interaction, it's somewhere along the communication lines. What are we saying? What do we say? I don't know how to navigate this. All of a sudden we start feeling insecure about ourselves. And that's a beautiful thing, because it gives us an opportunity to look at these insecurities that we didn't know we had and actually face them. And then when you do the facing of these insecurities, a lot of them start to drop off, especially when you pair it with releasing or revealing. You start to shed off a lot of these insecurities that you have. And then all of a sudden, when you're showing up to women, and your communication skills are better, the way you're looking at her in the eyes is way more connected, way more better, because all these insecurities that run in the background that slow you down and make you go into your head are no longer there. So I hope you guys have gathered a lot from this video, and I hope you guys have found a reason to really go out and approach aside from just getting women. Again, as you get better with this stuff, as you get better with yourself, and I say that because that's really what it is, you will naturally attract women, and it's not hard to do. Anyways, I love you guys, and I will see you in the next video. Peace. Just a reminder, I'm doing a 15-day coaching and approaching workshop online, and I've got about 5 seats left in that. What we're going to be doing is going over topics such as the first 30 seconds of an interaction, how to communicate in a way that creates attraction, how to get over those negative voices in your head and the self-doubt that comes up as you're out meeting women. So if this is something you think you could benefit from, I priced it very cheaply. Let's hop on a call and see if this is a good fit for you. If not, that's perfectly fine. But if it is, even better. So reach out. My email is HighIntegrityCoaching@gmail.com. You could also book a 30-minute strategy session on my website at HighIntegrityCoaching.com. Reach out and let's have a chat, man. I look forward to working with you. And I'll see you guys in the next video.